Bhajahure Manam Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindare Bhajahure Manam Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindare.
Darvika Giri Hariju Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Shri Nanda Maharaj Nandotsav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Thakura Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavan Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai Shri Govardhanadari Giriraj Radha Shri Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. So today is the most auspicious day for ourselves and for this universe. Today we're celebrating the appearance of His Divine Grace, Srila Thakur Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. The appearance of the spiritual master is most auspicious, and Srila Prabhupada himself explained many reasons why it's so, and I'm going to refer today to a talk that he gave in Hamburg, Germany in 1969. Approximately 4 years after he began preaching in the West. Before that time, Srila Prabhupada had a preaching life both as a householder, as a vanaprastha, and as a sannyasi. As a householder, he used to arrange many preaching events. And in his talk that he gave on this day in 1969, he explained how he had one idea and following that idea, he joined the movement of Gandhi, and the movement was called the non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation with the British. The Indians were seeking independence from Britain, Great Britain. And Gandhi was the leader of the largest and best known movement for doing that. And Srila Prabhupada explained how he had passed his final examinations for his study in college, but in protest he never collected his degree. And this was done at the request of Gandhi. He requested the college students to do this as a protest to the British government. And Prabhupada thought it was a good idea, and he considered himself part of Gandhi's movement. And in 1922, a short time later, a few years, I'm not exactly sure how long, Prabhupada was married, and one of his college friends invited him to see a great sadhu. And Srila Prabhupada was, that time he was known as Abhay Charan Dey, and his householder life. And he was requested by his friend, there's one great sadhu, and you should come and see him. And Prabhupada was hesitant because he had seen how many so-called sadhus used the robes of the sannyasi or the saffron robes of the brahmachari not to further the cause of Krishna consciousness, but simply as a means to earn their livelihood. By begging door to door, people would give them some alms, and if they preached something, usually it was something Mayavadi or Sahajya. So the pure preachers of the Gaudiya Siddhanta, they were not very numerous at that time. They were India was, and Bengal especially, where Prabhupada lived, was mostly consumed with the preaching of Sahajyas and Mayavadis. It was over-flooded with the preaching of Sahajya and Mayavad. So Prabhupada didn't care for that, and his father also didn't care for that. And so whenever saffron-clad people would come to the door begging for alms, they may be given something, but they weren't thought of very highly and dismissed, summarily dismissed. So Srila Prabhupada was suspicious. Oh, is this another one of those, this sadhu you speak of? And his friend assured him, no, he is different. You come and hear, then you will see. So Prabhupada went. This was in 1922. He heard the talk of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. And in that talk, seeing these two young men and his in front of him, suggested to them that why you should take this preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world. You're English-speaking people, so you should broadcast this message in the English language. And Prabhupada remarked about that meeting that he was young, and I forget the word he used, but he was not persuaded, and he had some objection he was thinking, and he expressed his objection to Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. How will anyone give attention? Why will anyone give attention to our preaching when we are dependent upon the British? We are not a free country. We are not an independent country. We are subservient. We are under the thumb of the British rule. So, seeing that we are subjugated by the British, then who will take us seriously? This does not seem, what you're proposing does not seem practical, that it will be effective. So he suggested, first, we must establish independence from the British, Indian independence. Then the philosophy of India, the culture of India, and the great acharyas like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we can preach about them and we will be respected. But Srila Saraswati Thakur completely rejected that idea. And this is a very common idea. I hear it again and again, over and over. Oh, we first do this, then preach, or we should adjust our preaching in such a way to accommodate this type of person, this type of thinking, this culture. Many different ideas are presented, which for the most part appear to me to be compromise. First, compromise your idea, your principles, and when it is compromised enough that there is an equilibrium between your preaching, what you're saying, and the thinking of the common man, then they will listen to you. Then it will be effective. And generally I reject such argument because actually we're not trying to reach the common man exactly. We're trying to find sincere souls who are sincerely seeking to get free from the clutches of the illusory energy, from the clutches of Maya. So that's not the thinking of the common man. The common man is thinking, eat, sleep, drink, and be merry. So why should our preaching stop eating, stop sleeping, stop drinking, and stop your merriment? Why should that appeal to him? And no matter how nicely we phrase it, that is what we are telling people. Your life, your life of enjoyment, stop it. You're not profiting through that. It is not your ultimate benefit. And in this talk, Srila Prabhupada begins by saying, Guru is not one person. Guru is truth. Well, if Guru is truth, then he must present what is true. And Prabhupada learned from Srila Saraswati Thakur that important point. That whatever you find in the material environment, don't think that to be a hindrance to the preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Siddhanta, Mahaprabhu's precepts. If the precepts are transcendental, then they will touch the transcendental person. If the precepts are divinely inspired, then they will touch the divine sentiments of the jiva souls of this world. And everyone has divine sentiment. Everyone has some divine quality. Why? Because because everyone is spiritual by nature. So, Jiver Swarupoi, Nityara Krishna Das. Jiver Sarupahoi Nityara Krishna Das. Krishnera Tatasta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash. Jiver Sarupahoi Nityara Krishna Das. Who are we? And who is everyone? Who are we preaching to? Who are we seeking to find and convince? They are also Nityara Krishna Das. They have spiritual relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At present it is covered by some illusion, but remove that illusion and behind it you will find Nityara Krishna Das. There is a servant of Krishna. So, does that depend on a material circumstance? Does it depend on the independence of India? Srila Saraswati Thakur said, no, it doesn't depend upon that. Because it is transcendental, it will reach the transcendental nature of the jiva soul. So preach this message and forget about the independence of India. And then Prabhupada went on to ridicule the idea of independence. What is this independence? Independence. He gave an example of some of his disciples. He said the draft board, they are chasing after these boys. And for what purpose? To forcibly enlist them in the military. At that time there was, in the United States, there was a draft to collect soldiers for fighting, mostly for the war going on in Vietnam, the fighting in Vietnam. And so the draft, many of Prabhupada's disciples were hoping to escape the draft board. But if you're independent, you're thinking you're independent. You're free to eat, sleep, drink, and be merry. You're free to enjoy. Then why don't you enjoy? And then he ridiculed the United States. Oh, what is that liberty? It is a country of liberty. So you think you have your liberty. Well then, how you can be forcibly made to join the army and go and fight? Now where's your liberty now? So ultimately we are slaves of so many different things. In this material world we are slaves. And slaves of what? Slaves of the material energy, slaves of our senses, slaves of Mahamaya. What Mahamaya directs, we must follow. At least we do follow, for the most part. Everyone is slave to Maya, slave to the senses. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, slave to the senses. And is that a pleasant condition? It is not a pleasant condition. It is a condition of suffering. Because as slave of the senses, there's eat, sleep, drink, and be merry, and birth, death, old age, and disease. You take one, you must take the other. It is a package where the contents cannot be separated. You want this package? You want to eat, sleep, drink, and be merry? Very good. But with that, you must also take this: birth, death, old age, and disease. That means suffering. So Srila Prabhupada quoted the song that we sing in glorification of the spiritual master, Sangsara Dava Nala Lida Loka. That spiritual master is truth, and that truth is good for what? Does what? It extinguishes the forest fire of material existence. What happens in the forest fire? Everyone suffers. The land suffers. It is burned and deforested. The vegetation suffers. It's burned. The animals suffer. The humans suffer. Recently there are some big forest fires in the West, in the United States. They come just about every year, maybe every year. And thousands and thousands of people were forced out of their homes. And many of those thousands lost their homes. And they lost their many possessions. Some of them lost everything. So that is the nature of the material world. It is a devouring forest fire. And forest fire is not pleasant. It causes suffering for everyone. So, the quality, what is the quality of the spiritual master? Just like the rain clouds, and Prabhupada gave another example. He said, you can bring the buckets of water and the hoses, and you can bring your firefighting equipment, the fire department. You can bring so many things to try and extinguish the forest fire, but it will have no effect. What you can do, you're so small, your facility is so tiny by comparison. The forest fire will burn regardless of your efforts to extinguish it. Then what will extinguish it? And that is the rain cloud. So even though man himself is incapable of extinguishing the forest fire, nature itself can extinguish it through torrents of rain. If the rain comes in sufficient quantity, then the fire will be extinguished. So the spiritual master is like the rain cloud, who is delivering the water to extinguish the forest fire of material existence. Samsara, what is that material existence? Samsara, cycle of repeated birth and death. If you take shelter of the spiritual master, then you become free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So these concepts Prabhupada heard from his spiritual master in 1922. Why don't you preach this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking people? And Prabhupada thought will not be successful, but he was convinced by Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur that he was wrong. No, it will be successful. And Prabhupada came to believe that. And he believed it so thoroughly that that very thing manifests through him. He began to preach in the Western world, in the English-speaking language, English language. He translated many books into the English language, important books, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita as it is There were so many editions of Bhagavad Gita, but mostly they were leading people astray from the surrender to Sri Krishna, the service of Sri Krishna. They were not offering direct Krishna consciousness. They're offering diluted Krishna consciousness, or no Krishna consciousness at all, even. And some of these books were very popular, these Bhagavad Gitas. Many of us have seen them, read them. Before I joined, around 1966, as a junior in high school, I heard something about Bhagavad Gita, became interested in it, and went to my local library in Long Island to see if they had Bhagavad Gita there. They had a Bhagavad Gita. I think they had more than one. I didn't know which one to select to read. I selected one, began reading it. As I recall, I couldn't make much sense of it. It didn't make much sense to me. I couldn't understand the point. So there were many Bhagavad Gitas like that, and people were reading and not understanding or getting the wrong idea. Of course, maybe some were better than others, no doubt, some of these Bhagavad Gitas. And even Srila Prabhupada used to use one such Bhagavad Gita for his earliest classes, for his students in his early days at 26 Second Avenue. So he would read the verse, but he would give the purport. He would explain. Giving the proper conception. So anyway, he presented Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it is fair to say that this has become the standard of Bhagavad Gita in the West. Perhaps in India also. The largest selling Bhagavad Gita in the world, no doubt. Most widely distributed Bhagavad Gita in the world. And its effect was great. Prabhupada himself described the effect. All these other Bhagavad Gitas, but they made not a single devotee of Krishna. But this Bhagavad Gita that I am distributing, and you see here, I'm pointing to his disciples, so many devotees coming as a result. And why? Because it is being explained by a devotee. Evang parampara praptang imang rajarsayo vidu. This is the method, and this is the only effective method, and there is no other method. No other method that is effective. The spiritual line, again, back to transcendence. What is transcendental? It must come from the transcendental, and it must connect with the transcendental. Spirit to spirit. Vaikuntha nam grahanam. What is coming from Vaikuntha is meant for those who are to live in Vaikuntha and who are to reside in Vaikuntha, or at least those who are to go to Vaikuntha. And we're all meant to go to Vaikuntha. This mundane world, this is not our home. This is not a natural place for us. It is very unnatural. Not the home of the jiva. It is a home of many things, but it is not our home. So, what is transcendental will connect with the transcendental. what is of Krishna will connect with those who are of Krishna. And everyone is Krishna Das, then it should connect with everyone. But only if it is presented purely, coming in the line of parampara, and without change, adulteration, or addition. Prabhupada mentioned these things. Must be presented without changing it. Then it will be effective. How do we account for so many different religions? Dharmantu sakshad bhagavat pranitam. Originally, there was one religion. Religion was one. But today there is one religion, or there are so many religions? There are so many, thousands upon thousands. And generally every man feels comfortable giving some interpretation, his own interpretation. Oh, you say it means this, but I think it means that, another thing. So opinions, everyone wants to give their opinion. Oh, you think it means this, but I have a different opinion. Prabhupada spoke against this opinionating. Opinion is not important. Opinion is irrelevant. Opinion is deceiving. Opinion is deception. Opinion is useless. Our opinion is useless. What is Krishna's opinion? State that. State it clearly. And then what you state will be effective. Because he is the supreme authority. So, Guru is not different persons. Guru is not a different, one person is Guru, another person is Guru, another person is Guru. Guru is truth. Tad vigyanartam sa gurum evabhigachat. So, the injunction that we follow is not to find a guru, but to find who is giving absolute truth. Where is absolute truth being distributed? Where absolute truth is being distributed, we bow our heads there, we accept as our guru, and we follow those directions. That is the means for the conditioned soul to become unconditioned, to leave the mundane environment for the spiritual environment. So, samsara davanala lida loka, tanaya karunya ganaganatwang praptasya kalyana gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. We offer our respectful obeisances. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Offer our respectful obeisances to the spiritual master who, like a cloud, is pouring rain on the forest fire of material existence. Another thing that Srila Prabhupada mentioned in that talk of his in 1969, I found it interesting. He quoted this verse from the Padyavali of Srila Rupa Goswami, but it was came from another devotee of Mahaprabhu. I forget. Can't recall his name right now. But anyway, the verse is this: Shrutim apare smritim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhava bita ahang iha nandana vande yashyalinde param brahma. Well, those many of us will recall hearing this verse. Srila Govinda Maharaj spoke of it from time to time. The verse, the meaning is this, that Srila Prabhupada described it this way, that at the time of Nandotsav, which is today, we're celebrating the Sri Nanda Maharaj's distribution of charity and celebration of his the appearance of his son, Sri Krishna. So Prabhupada described it as a Brahmin came to Nanda Maharaj and he exclaimed, "Oh, you people, you may worship the Shruti or the Smriti, the Mahabharata. You may worship and follow the direction of these many Vedic literatures, thinking that that will give you your liberation. But I find them insignificant in comparison to what I am seeing here. So what I worship is Nanda Maharaj, because in his courtyard, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is crawling on the floor and playing as if his own child, the child of Nanda. So these big books, these big Vedic literatures, they are no doubt very wonderful and effective and presenting truth and revelation. But what is the position of Nanda Maharaj? His position is far above any of those, because in his courtyard is playing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How wonderful is this? And a few years later, 4 years later, this was in 1969, 4 years later, 1973, there was the opening of the Sri Chandrodaya Mandir in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada's temple in Mayapur, India. Sri Chaitanya, Sri Chandrodaya Mandir, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Mandir. So anyway, it was a big event, and he invited Srila Sridhar Maharaj to come for the grand opening. And this became a very significant event for those of us who took Srila Prabhupada's words to heart, that after his disappearance we should go to his godbrother Srila Sridhar Maharaj for further instruction. So this is notable and significant for us, because at this 1973 opening of the Mandir, Srila Prabhupada was very insistent that Srila Sridhar Maharaj come for this opening. His relationship with Srila Sridhar Maharaj was very close. He had the highest regard for Srila Sridhar Maharaj. They were friends for decades. From the very earliest time of Srila Prabhupada's meeting Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj recalls at that time that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was not a sannyasi then. He was in the white dress as a brahmachari, white cloth-clad brahmachari. But he remembers very early on meeting Srila Prabhupada, and from that time they became very good friends. And they preached together, they helped each other. Especially Srila Prabhupada did many things to help Srila Sridhar Maharaj to establish the Bombay Gaudiya Math, and help Srila Sridhar Maharaj collect money for different projects of Gaudiya Math. So they became steadfast friends, And Prabhupada also had, like many of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers, Prabhupada had great regard for the Siddhanta of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also had high regard for the Siddhanta of Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj as well. So throughout the time of Srila Prabhupada's preaching in the West, when he would return to India, he would, wherever he was likely to send some correspondence to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, seeking his blessings for his work and informing him of his activities. And Srila Govinda Maharaj told us that this was true of many of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers, that they followed the path of Singha Vilokan. Like as the lion moves forward very carefully, he then looks back to see if there is any thing that he needs to be aware of. And he goes forward again. So in the same way, many of the preachers of Gaudiya Math would engage in their preaching activities, but often look back to Srila Sridhar Maharaj to see that he is approving or not. And this was their consideration, that our activities will be successful if Srila Sridhar Maharaj is offering his, if he is satisfied, if he is approving. So Srila Prabhupada I don't think he ever told us anything like that. But he did tell plainly in a famous letter that I consider Srila Sridhar Maharaj to be my Shiksha Guru. And his behavior with Srila Sridhar Maharaj proved the point. If there was any question, there could be no question when you simply seeing the interaction of these two, then certainly Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada showed great deference to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj had great affection for Srila Prabhupada. And I want to read something. I'm reminded here of this. This is from Srila Govinda Maharaj, something that he spoke on a Gaur Pranim Darshan in 1994. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, in Guru Maharaj's conception, following the philosophy of Hegel, word choosing, Guru Maharaj choosing the words from Hegel's philosophy, he likes those words and conception, completely different with everybody. Only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Guru Maharaj I am seeing in same line, and Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So this is a very significant statement. As Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter that became famous, that I consider Srila Sridhar Maharaj to be my Shiksha Guru, what to speak of the benefit you will receive from him. Govinda Maharaj is saying what I understood to be the fact for a long time, that Srila Govinda Maharaj had a very high and special regard for Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Srila Govinda Maharaj told us that Prabhupada considered him as his son, and there's evidence to support that. Prabhupada had a very close relationship with Srila Govinda Maharaj, like father and son, or like uncle and nephew. So Govinda Maharaj knew all the god brothers of Srila Sridhar. Not all, but he knew many of the acharyas of Gaudiya Math, those other than Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Swami Maharaj. But he says, only Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Guru Maharaj I am seeing in same line, and Prabhupada A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Seeing these three, he is seeing in the same line. That is, he always conversing, going with, that is, he always conversation going with Guru Maharaj. His lecture also conceptually going that same way. That is, both are anti-Mayavadi, anti-Sahajiavad. And that conversation, day after day, we heard in the house of Swami Maharaj. That I can say. Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, Srila Swami Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, I believe in the same line. And I feeling a little uncertainty about how I fit into this mix. Srila Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. One time asked Govinda Maharaj, Maharaj, whose line do you consider that I am in? And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, in the line of Guru Maharaj. And here we can understand, in the line of Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj in that line, and all in the line of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So this was their intimate connection, these three, Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I came to this a little indirectly, remembering the event of that temple opening of the Sri Chaitanya, I can't remember if it's Chaitanya or just Chandrodaya, but the Chandrodaya Mandir in Mayapur, 1973. Srila Sridhar Maharaj was invited to attend the grand opening, and Govinda Maharaj described the event in a wonderful way. Swami Maharaj was getting massaged by one of his disciples. He was in what Srila Govinda Maharaj called a napkin, what we would call a gamsha. So a shorter piece of cloth, just around knee level piece of cloth, wrapper, and without anything on his, covering his chest. And one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples came and said, oh, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has arrived. And Srila Prabhupada left his massage, still in his gamsha, and went to welcome Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and bring him immediately to my room. And Sridhar Maharaj was brought there, and Govinda Maharaj was with him. And Govinda Maharaj recalls about Srila Prabhupada's disciples that his leaders, they were like so many Brahmas. And he was surprised that these big men, these sannyasis, these big leaders of the mission all over the world with big responsibilities, but all of them paying their obeisances and all obedient to Srila Prabhupada. And this reminded Govinda Maharaj of the time when Lord Brahma went to see Krishna, and suddenly so many Brahmas came from many different universes, all bowing their heads at the feet of Lord Krishna. And Brahma is surprised to see that 100-headed Brahma, he is 4-headed Brahma, but there are 10-headed, 100-headed, 1,000-headed Brahmas, meaning that they are Brahmas of bigger universes than his own. And there are thousands of them, and they're all coming and all subservient, all paying their obeisances to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So anyway, Govinda Maharaj goes on to say, he says, I believe that they are in the same line, but they're also some different. What kind of different? Ordinary person cannot trace that immediately. But who will read, reading after reading after reading, different? He can differentiate where is some difference. And also mood of devotion. Both was not always the same. The process, both have not always the same. And a little later on, he continues, sometimes Saraswati Thakur more stronger when coming to Swami Maharaj, sometimes coming to Guru Maharaj. Many things inside, that is higher class study. Then we can understand. But up to graduation, we cannot understand where is difference. But when we will try to study in master degree level, then we can understand that there is some difference, little difference, but that's another thing. So yes, a little difference there must be. No two things are exactly the same. Achintya beta beta tattva. Something must be same and something must be different. So every acharya, and the individual acharya, the Vaishnava, no two Vaishnavas will be exactly the same. But the teaching must be substantially the same. So what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was giving, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj was giving, Srila Bhakti-Rakha Shridhar Goswami Maharaj giving the same thing, and Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj also giving the same thing. And our attempt is to follow in their footsteps, and also presenting, giving the same thing, with this condition, without change. If we change it, then it is our idea. If we present it without change, then it is coming from the Supreme. It is coming from the transcendental realm, not coming from the mental realm or the intellectual realm, the realm of this, the mundane world, the realm of samsara, not from that. So, what is given by Sri Krishna, then charyang mang vijanayang, when it is non-different from what is given by Sri Krishna, then he is the acharya. Acharyang mang vijanayang. I, Krishna says, I am performing the function of acharya. But that function is only being performed by Krishna when the acharya is subservient to the Supreme Lord. Acharyang mang purusho veda. Who is controlled by the acharya, he is acharya. So this succession, disciplic succession from one acharya to another, who is in that line of disciplic succession, we can identify by how true he is to the previous acharya. So we found Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, our divine master, that he so steadfast to the teachings of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj, that Srila Govinda Maharaj was encouraged, was prompted, inspired to compose his own pranam mantra for Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Swami Shri Bhaktivedanta Prabhupadaya Te Namaha Gurvagyam Shirasi Dritva Shaktya Vesha Swarupine Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachatarine. Vishvacharya Prabharyaya Divya Karunya Murtaye Sri Bhagavat Madhurya Gita Jnana Pradayane Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevane Radha Krishna Padamboja Bringaya Gurave Namaha. How exalted is the position of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj as described in that pranam mantram. Shaktyavesha, that he is Shaktyavesha avatar. The Avesh of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Sri Nityananda, the universal guru, Vishva Guru, the general guru of everyone, and the general representation of Sri Guru, who is so magnanimously distributing the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because only through Nityananda Prabhu do we get connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, is Shaktivesh in that line of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Then what can we say of his greatness? And his work showed it. His preaching showed it. As Nityananda Prabhu was successful in converting so many, bringing so many to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, was successful in doing something. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I believe, is described as he fulfilled the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In his last days, last days of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, December was, and he passed away December 31st, 1931, and just a couple weeks before that, Srila Swami Maharaj wrote a letter very humbly describing himself. I am a householder. You have so many brahmacharis and sannyasis who are serving you directly. They are doing so much great seva for your divine grace. I am a householder. What can I do to serve you? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told him, as he did in that first meeting, preach the message of Mahaprabhu in the English language to the Western world. So from the beginning to the end, this petition by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which he made to many, but which His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada fulfilled. And in the words of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he fulfilled what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur began, conceived. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati carried that out, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj fulfilled that in the grandest way, to such a great extent, unimaginable. So there's so many pastimes and so many things as Sheshanaga with thousands of tongues cannot finish describing the glories of Sri Krishna. So no one can finish describing the glories of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, our spiritual master. And the spiritual master of the this world, this universe, spiritual master of everyone. No one has sufficient tongues or lifespan to finish glorifying his great works and his supreme position amongst the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. So we make some small attempt when we have the chance, and pray that our inability to fully appreciate and fully describe the character, the nature, the qualities of His divine grace will be excused by Him, and we pray that He may appreciate our humble attempt. And that He may, by His grace, that we may improve and do better in the future. Only by His grace is it possible. Jai His Divine Grace, Thakura Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajak Varya Ashtotara Satta Shri Shrimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Avirbhav Maha Mahotsava Ki Jai. Oh, and I don't know if I said enough about Sri Nandotsav, but anyway, maybe another time. But it is wonderful that Sri Krishna appeared yesterday. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He appears in every age to deliver the fallen souls. In this Kali Yuga, He appeared a little over 5,000 years ago. You know what that is, Leela?
Yes, the radio.
I'll turn it off. He appeared over 5,000 years ago, and the day after His appearance, Sri Nanda Maharaj, giving in charity so many things to the Brahmins and distributing so many auspicious good things to celebrate this auspicious appearance of his son. And on that same day, some few years ago by comparison, the gift of Sri Krishna, and we can say the gift of Sri Nanda Maharaj is His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who is Nanda Maharaj has given Krishna in charity, given so many things in charity, but his greatest gift is his son, Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very magnanimous, very loving to His devotees, and His gift to us is His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, who is distributing the glories of Sri Krishna all over the world, the glories of Sri Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, Sri Vrindavan, all these things. So, a convergence of auspiciousness on this day of Sri Nandotsav. Jai Sri Nanda Maharaj Nandotsav Mahamahotsava Ki Jai. Jai Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Krishna Janmashtami Ki Jai. Jai Sri Govardhana Dari Sri Sri Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Parikar Sri Sri Guru Garanga Sri Sri Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. All great personalities, so many have appeared to bestow their blessings upon us and upon all the conditioned souls. We are very grateful. and pray that we may someday have the honor and the satisfaction of serving their lotus feet. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Gaur Haribol.